The next company is Dryden Gold, traded on the OTC under the ticker DRYGF, and on the TSXV under the ticker DRY.V. I'm proud to present CEO Trey Wasser. Let's see if we can get him in here. Thank you for joining us, Trey.
Hey, thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for putting this on. I hope everybody's appreciating all your hard work and your excellent selection of companies.
No, I appreciate that, and I'm sure they will as well. Many people in attendance, I'm sure, are looking for an update to see where we're at, and others will be their first time. So I'll give you the floor and take it away.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Looking forward to doing more of these with Jimmy and Trinity Financial. Had very successful dinner there last month in New York. Well, actually, it's in June, so 2 months ago. But let me jump right in because we don't have a lot of time and we've got a big story here. So I want to
I
be
think you'll
sure to
have to
leave you
reshare your
time.
screen.
Reshare.
Yeah, I think you just might have to reshare one more time.
Okay. Uh, and how's that?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. And so, I want to unpack this thing as quickly as possible. But I like to start on this slide because I think it's very important in the junior mining space for you people who, maybe aren't as familiar with the junior exploration business in mining in Canada, where most of the companies are listed. I compare it a lot to the biotechnology. Companies in the US. Same kind of business model, no revenue, no income. So always dependent on raising money in the equity markets to continue to do testing in the case of biotech, and of course, exploration in the case of drilling. So for those of you who aren't as familiar with the mining and it's all about the management. Our board is made up of people all who have experience in building these small junior mining companies basically from scratch and building them up and realizing shareholder value, typically through M&A, selling out to a larger company. Not ever really, our goal is never really to go into production. We have a 2 to 3 year timeline to sell this company at a minimum 10x of what it's trading at today, based on what we find on our property. Like I said, everybody on the board has experience in that, and that's very important because two things. One, it ensures that we are able to raise capital, but it's also all people who have done it before. So we realize even though you can raise more capital, you have to treat every dollar like you may never raise another dollar. That on the technical side, we have a very good young team of geologists that have, for their tenure, have very good experience. Maura Kolb, our president and chief technical officer, runs our exploration program. Worked for Gold Corp for 8 years. 5 of those years, she ran the exploration program at the Red Lake mine, right in the area where we're operating. Anna Hicken was her number two there, and did all of her budgeting and everything. They ran a $50 million a year budget with 90 employees. So certainly capable of scaling this company up to be able to really have a growing exploration program. On the shareholder side, we're very proud of our who's who of shareholders, Eric Sprott, Rob McEwen, all the major funds, and also we've gotten the strategic investments from Centerra Gold, and also Alamos Gold is our largest shareholder. So we already have, major producing companies that are involved in the stock that are just waiting for us to show the results, and are our partners already in this program. So The property itself sits in a very interesting area, very accessible. The Trans-Canada Highway runs right through our property, running from Winnipeg to Thunder Bay. And Highway 502 runs right down the through the middle of our property and down. So it's very accessible, gives us very low drilling costs, and just a very quite an anomaly is this property package we put together in an area that it has just seen very little modern exploration, even though it has incredible infrastructure. And that exploration has really been limited to very shallow exploration, very high grade gold here. But it, prior to us, it had never been mined higher, more than 150, 200 meters, never seen a drill hole deeper than 250 meters. Where these Archean lode gold systems in this part of the world, the major ones here around us are still mining at plus or minus 2 kilometers. And most of these properties, the mines in these areas didn't even get really good and high grade like at Red Lake until they got down to 700 or 800 meters. So a lot of blue sky at depth in this property. The property itself is very large and very strategic. We're centered along this Manitou to Norwich deformation zone that you see in black here. We've got some east-west cross-cutting deformation structures that run through here. The main emphasis for us is where these intersections are, where the main deformation zone intersects with the east-west zone. We've got 50 kilometers of strike that is, you can see, plus or minus 2 kilometers on either side of this deformation zone. And, we're running a very modern and sophisticated exploration program coming out of their Gold Corp experience at Red Lake of, using all oriented core to understand the structural geology there, assaying everything, because you really, in these systems, you really can't tell which rocks have the gold in it. The quartz veins with gold, with visible gold in it, that's obvious. But all the previous operator did not really assay everything, and we're finding, other rock types that are carrying quite a bit of gold. Very similar. This property is very similar to the Red Lake geology. So again, a big benefit for us is having, some of the specialists from Red Lake now running the program here. We have year-round drilling here. There's no access problems with the highway. There's been a lot of forestry here in the last 20, 25 years and has really opened this property up. One of the reasons it hasn't historically seen a lot of modern exploration. And because of that access and the way we've got our program set up with a core facility about halfway from our property to the town of Dryden, there's a lab in the town of Dryden. So our drilling costs are, lowest in the industry. We call it here 250, but actually more recently we're at about 220 a meter all in. So very low, very high grade gold across this entire property here. The previous operator drilled this one intercept of 53,000 grams per ton. I mean, it's but really from north to south here, down at Sheridan, we have intercepts, ground samples as high as 600 grams per ton, several over 100. The Gold Rock area is where this very high grade came from. High grade samples over at Hinman. Literally, all of this property has high grade gold at surface in either surface samples or drilling or channel samples. The similarities, I won't get a lot into this geology, but it's very similar geology to the Red Lake camp, and that's really what we think we're in here, the next Red Lake camp. The more work we do here and drilling, the more it looks like Red Lake. And so I won't go into this a lot now because I'll get lost in the weeds. But we have a fully funded exploration program this year that is targeting these high-grade structures. We're focused about 50% of our money in what we call the Gold Rock target area, where we've really figured out the the deformation or faulting structures to be able to identify the high-grade gold. And now we're also, as the more we drill, we're also seeing that other than and you can see this on this slide here, the red structures running southwest to northeast along the main deformation zone. These are the outcropping vein structures and a disseminated sulfide structure. This is what shows its surface. But what we're finding, and again, much like Red Lake, is all of these, as we're drilling more, we're seeing all of these stack structures. So there's actually a lot more going on here that nobody's ever discovered before because it just hasn't seen the modern exploration that is going on with structures that don't have surface expression, but are becoming more and more obvious and some very, it's really adding the potential ounces here to this project. Again, I want to point out that without getting too much into this slide, it's kind of just a blow up of the main part of the last slide, is that we've only been public a year and a half here. So we've gotten an incredible amount done in this year and a half. We get compared a lot to the companies out there that have been exploring their properties for 4 or 5 years and aren't as far along as we are. So, keep that in mind as you're, considering us for investment, is that, we're a low market cap right now. The market hasn't really realized, I think, exactly what we've uncovered and are uncovering here. But some very high grade on one of these new structures that we found here that didn't have any surface expression. We hit, some incredible high grade gold of 300 grams per ton over 3.9 meters. And, we're just seeing that throughout the camp. And this is about 1 kilometer of strike in here. This is an area we're focused on that really is very wide intercepts now when we include all of these stacked structures. It starts at surface. It's starting to stack up like a really open pit scenario here, about 1 kilometer long, and anywhere from this structure is running up to 60 meters, excuse me, wide in some places. This is a long section of that, just kind of shows that we've, where we've focused most of our drilling to identify what some of these, and figure out what these structures are looking like. And then we're going off like to the Pearl Zone most recently to identify more of those. So the next thing we're going to do is move from down here at the Gold Rock target area where we're working now that I've been talking about, moving up to another group of looks very similar that we mapped last year, the Mud Lake we call it, and it's about 2 kilometers to the north. Looks exactly like this area. So we're excited to get up there. What we want to prove to the market is that, look, there's something very big going on right here, but this is only 1.5 kilometer square area here. But we think we can find a lot more of these in the Gold Rock camp. So the first one will be the Mud Lake area, but behind that we have all of these different structures that we run through our evaluation program. So we have several targets in just this Gold Rock camp, which is about 20 kilometers of strike here, to explore beyond what's going on at this Gold Rock target area where we're currently drilling. The regional story here is also very big. This is a big property. It's 70,000 square kilometers. We own it 100%. We don't have any more payments left. Alamos was our landowner partner there that we've now paid off. And this year we've gotten 3 permits for drilling I've just been talking about the Gold Rock area and that extension area to the north, the Mud Lake, but we also are now drilling down at the Sheridan area to the south. This is a completely different deposit model at Sheridan. It's an ultramafic rock, completely different deposit model, and some very high grade gold down there. So we're currently drilling a first pass of drilling down there to see what those structures look like and what the gold content is in this. And and then we've got a second rig that's drilling down there right now. So then we're also regionally over at Sheridan. This is a property over here to the east, fully permitted. And in this year's budget, we'll be doing some channel sampling here. This is a very big footprint. Again, a completely different deposit model from the Gold Rock camp. This is granodiorite with quartz stringers in it. Very similar to the Goldland deposit that Next Gold has about 20 kilometers to the north of us. And we have a huge footprint here. If this is, we're only able last year to test a few targets in there, but got over 34 grams per ton in surface samples, several between 5 and 15 grams per ton. So we're channel sampling this area right now, and we're using a third party doing that work. So we should start to see results from that over the next 30 to 60 days. And if this small area has a good sized footprint of this, that's gold bearing here, this could get very big very fast, because we actually have about, give you an idea, the area we're testing here, right in here, is about the size of the Goldland deposit that Next Gold has. And that's 1.5 million ounces. But we actually have 6 or 7 kilometers of strike and potentially over 1.5 kilometers of width to this. So the footprint of this could grow very, very big. And what we'll do this year is we'll finish this initial channel sampling. If that comes back positive, we'll go in this fall and start drilling on this. So we, budget-wise, we were fully funded going into this year, have drilled about 10,000 meters of a 15,000 meter program. Of that 10,000 we've drilled, about 7,000 has been released. So we've got about 3 or maybe 4, as much between 3 and 4,000 still to come out of the lab on that. And then all of our field work, we're doing a full till program, soil till, and mapping our regional targets, that channel sampling that I mentioned at Hinman. All of that is paid in this year's budget, which we have not quite, exhausted yet. So we've got a couple million yet to spend in this budget here that we started last fall, what we call our 2025 program. But we also have just announced, and we'll be closing a week after next, August 12th, another financing of $7 million. And most of that will be exploration money, but it'll fund us well into 2026. This will actually be what we'll call our 2026 exploration budget. And because most of our field work is already budgeted in last year's budget, 80 to 90% of this new $6.5 million budget for next year will go into drilling. I estimate it'll be somewhere plus or minus 25,000 meters of more drilling that is yet to come without further dilution. So that's really the story. I mean, it's a great property. We've got an excellent team. It's high grade gold. It's the geology that everybody's looking for. And it's also, as I said, there's different types of geology, much like Timmins or Val-d'Or, where you have different styles of mineralized deposits like we have at Sheridan and Hinman. The jurisdiction is great. We get along very well with the First Nations. That's the fact that we got 3 permits this spring speaks to that. We've got a great list of shareholders. It's really a who's who list, and And we're fully funded, not only for the work that we've talked about getting finished this year, but going funded for 25,000 meters more of drilling. So that's I'm gonna stop it there, Jimmy, and open it up, see if we have anybody who paid attention to me as I rambled through. You ran through this so quickly and has any questions.
No, it was actually very good, and thank you for that, Trey. Do you see the button on the bottom of your screen that says Q&A? You can probably see it directly. There's some that were submitted direct, and then I have others that were submitted beforehand. Do you see on the bottom with the red
Yes, I
3?
do. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so you want me to just start these on the top? So when do you anticipate to exit the junior mining space? In other words, I'm assuming that question means what is our timeline for an M&A activity that would, basically we would get this thing to the point. I mean, let's keep in mind the major success story in junior mining, which may be, I think it's the best story of all time at this point. It may never be beat, is Great Bear, which is a neighbor for us, just 150 kilometers to the north. 2 years from the time they made discovery there to this, and they were about a 50 million market cap. They sold to Kinross for 1.6 billion. They also pulled a royalty off for shareholders, so I think most shareholders realized, closer to $2 billion. So that's the potential in these kind of things. We certainly have the property that could produce that, but we would be very happy with a fraction of that. So my goal is to be 2 to 3 years, and to be somewhere in the 300 million plus market cap. And I would point out a company, the market tends to jump on the shiny penny and the new success story. And the market hasn't quite figured out where we are yet. We are taking a longer term approach with a lot of what we're doing. But we've certainly had a real recent one was Onyx Gold that ran from a 20 million market cap to a $200 million market cap based on a few drill holes. You're good guys. They've got a great property. I have nothing bad to say about them, but I think that's the potential of how fast it can happen. And trust me when I say I can't even spell PEA. So we're never going to look at, I doubt we'll even, the Red Lake, or excuse me, the Great Bear model is great because they also never published a resource. All they did was the exploratory drilling, and they attracted Kinross and sold for a big price without ever publishing a resource. So, that's one of my goals, is to sell this company without ever publishing a resource. I'm not saying we never will, but I'm just pointing out it can be done. Second question is, are you looking to acquire the gold mines? The answer is no. We're very happy. We've got a large district scale play here. We've got our hands full. We're not looking to grow that way. This is an M&A story that, we're going to, as I said, build this up from a today 30 million market cap to a 300 million market cap minimum, and be selling it so our shareholders can, be acquired by a successful mid-tier or major producer. And they are all watching this stock. So what growth in ounces per meter or strike extensions are you forecasting based on current drill intercept? That's a question beyond my geological expertise. But look, we're hitting some very nice intercepts. It's clearly, and now what we've been hitting, as I pointed out, was more width with these stack structures that are underground that don't come to surface. So we're expanding the width of this whole thing in this 1.5 kilometer square area. And again, keep in mind that most of this high-grade gold starts at surface. And at surface, we also have a low-grade 1 to 2 gram material that runs throughout the structure there. So and then that gets enhanced where we hit the high-grade shoots on there. So that's tough for me. I mean, again, at this point, we're not even thinking of ounces, but and resource, but just trying to show the huge potential near surface as we're hitting this high-grade gold. I mean, when you're hitting 300 grams over 4 meters, it doesn't take a lot of that to add up to ounces. So any other questions you have, Jimmy?
Oh, we have a lot more questions. We have a lot that were submitted beforehand and some that were submitted after the event that you held.
Okay.
The use of funds, just to summarize, it's more long form. It's about, how are you dividing it among the different assets and the different targets, but just generally speaking, use of funds.
Okay, so in the current budget, we allocated about 55% of the budget to the Gold Rock target area where we've been doing the primary drilling. About 40% to the regional targets, Hinman and Sheridan, and Mud Lake to the north. So expanding the footprint, if you will, or the district potential of this property, which is something the potential buyers really want to see. They want to see that this isn't just a 1 kilometer square area, but that there's those kind of deposits all over the property. And going forward now, as I pointed out, the budget for this year included about a lot of probably about a third of the budget regionally was based on channel sampling at Hinman and the soil till program, mapping, and that type of thing, which going forward is already done. So pretty much I would say 80% of the budget going forward, and next, with this closing of this financing, we'll have about 6.5 million of exploration dollars. And I would say 80% of that's going to go into the drill rig. So there's going to be a lot of drilling, a lot of news. I mean, everything is, again, this is all fully funded. We probably will not be raising money again till, middle part of next year at the earliest. And there'll be tremendous amount of news flow between now and then.
Trey, thank you for joining us. I really do appreciate it. It's, as you know, our first Trinity Financing Investor Conference, and we really do appreciate the work that you're doing as a shareholder. To end, could you just give everyone a little bit of detail on how they could reach out if they're interested, and close it out?
Well, of course, you go to the website, and I'd also point out that, like the last company, I'm very accessible. Maura's very accessible. Of course, she's a lot better on the technical side for those kind of questions. If you go to the website, she does a lot of small videos about press releases, and really, I mean, I think we're really doing a great job of getting the message out that way, explaining what's going on, and I don't think that the market appreciates and pays enough attention to what we're doing there. But also on any of the press releases, my phone number is on there, my email is on there, Maura's phone number. These are cell phone numbers. These aren't, going to a answering machine somewhere. So, if you have questions or I'm again very accessible. I love talking to shareholders. And one thing, I never ask a question of how many shares you own. I don't really care. If somebody calls me, they're a shareholder, I'm willing to answer spend time on the phone and answer any questions they have. So,
Well, thank you again, Trey, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
all right. Thank you, Jimmy. Say hello to your mother for me.
I will. Bye now.
All right. Bye.